Good toasted afternoon. BitMonger coming at you from beautiful Thailand. Still on the mend, but doing my thing. And today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and what I've been doing, my thoughts on the whole market. And let's just get into it, guys. So currently Bitcoin is trading at $96,600 approximately. And, I'm thinking that it perfectly got rejected. If you guys look at some of my past videos, I had been talking about 98,300, if I remember correctly, was the level that it had previously been a very strong support level at. So I'm not surprised one bit that it got up to 97,900 and then got rejected, guys. And it looks like it's coming down. Could it come down to test this long-term trend line? That would not surprise me one bit. And that is currently sitting, if I line it up perfectly on that trend line, on that candle, we're looking at $92,260. So move it up another one, call it 92.4, 92.6 roughly. So anywhere in that area, 92.5, call it. I think it could potentially come back down there to test that. Would not surprise me, especially considering this news here, guys. This is kind of fucked up, but the market bill, like I thought, there's been some pushback. Coinbase is completely pulled out of it. The CEO pulls out of the support because they're messing around. They don't want to, the banks don't want to allow any sort of yield on stablecoin. They're concerned. They know that if they do this, there's, why would you want to keep your cash sitting in a bank account when you could stick it into Coinbase and earn, whatever, 3-4%. So, I don't see how, I think this is a really touchy thing. And unfortunately, even though Trump has been good for crypto, the fact that he launched a meme coin, the fact that his family is deeply involved into it, his sons are involved in it, that they're launching the, stable coins and doing these other things with inside their platform, is a really, really bad look. And I think due to that, there's just going to be massive pushback. And it's a very unfortunate. It's kind of like, while we were really happy that he was pro-crypto and doing all these things, the fact that he's gotten involved into it with his family to the degree that they have is a fucking horrible look. It looks like a money grab. It is a money grab. I mean, we've got to admit it. It's a money grab by Trump and family. And that could potentially screw this whole legislation, guys, unfortunately. So anyways, what I'm thinking right now, guys, is, we have to just watch this. Right now, this is part of the reason why. Because it's so uncertain right now, what's going to happen with Bitcoin. I mean, it currently is looking like something like a safe haven on a slight degree, but recently it hasn't been acting that way. Are we seeing it catch up now? And if there is real fear, I don't think Bitcoin is considered a safe haven asset. I believe a lot of those new ETF buyers, they'll dump it like a hot potato, man. If it gets nasty, I don't think they have the conviction. So based on that, I am slightly bearish, especially with this crypto market bill. As I mentioned earlier, huge legislation. We got the big 800-pound gorilla, Coinbase, that is part of this, massively part of it. They just pulled support from it, saying that they were not happy with the amendments that the other side was, suggesting. They weren't going to accept it. So we got to look at that for what it is and the impact that could have. So anyways, this is why I am happy to be sitting with a big chunk of my money in cash. I'll look to buy it. I should have been shorting the 98K level. Unfortunately, I didn't do it. I do have other shorts in, and I'll talk about those right now. And you guys need to be careful, because when you look at, first of all, ICP, I shorted that one earlier today, made some money on that one. That was nice. But look at Zcash, and if you look at the weekly chart. Look at that. You can see that massive rip that it had, and then it had this vicious pullback all the way back down to $316 after it hit $742. Now, right now, we've seen this money rotate out of Zcash going into Monero. And Monero, look at that. That's Monero. That's just the weekly candle. Let's go ahead and look at the daily. And we can see that this one has absolutely ripped as well. And I put a short on this one, and that's nicely in profit. But you guys got to be very careful with these privacy coins. The whole privacy narrative is just fucking massive right now. It is just huge. So, but looking at Zcash, granted, you know, when you look at Zcash, it had this run up, you know, starting in, when was that? Actually, it started running in October, and it got up to its high in November. So it lasted for about a month, guys. So based on that, you know, might these run up for about a month, 3 weeks? You know, we've already got about 1 week on it already. So could it last for another 3 weeks or so before it starts to peter out? Possibly. You know, there's two ways that you can play this, guys. And this is the way I'm looking at it. There's two ways that you can play it. You can either, you know, which is the suggested way, be very calculated and use a very tight stop loss. Or, if you have the pockets, the deep pockets, you know, start nibbling on a short and lever it up. But that's dangerous to do. Only do it that if you have enough money to cover your position and use lower leverage. And that's one way that you can play it. Because these coins, they all will mean revert at some point, and they will go back down. And when that does happen, you know, if you manage to secure a good position, you can run it down and make a ton of money. So that's one way I've played it before, you know. But granted, if you don't have a lot of money, if you aren't willing to risk what you're putting out there, because let's face it, this strategy is extremely dangerous. But you know, it can pay off really, really well. So up to you guys to decide how you want to play it. But that's one way that you can play it. Another coin that has absolutely ripped too is Dash, and I spoke about that one the other day. That one had been going up and down into this zone earlier. We're looking at the daily chart. Let's look at the 4 hourly on this one to get a better idea. And so we can see before it had been trading in this zone right in here, and I was using that time frame in here, this ping ponging, where I just made a ton of money, and then it absolutely ripped, and it looks like it's coming back down, and we'll see if this is going to be the new bottom out around here at 76. But you know, these things can absolutely rip, guys. So you need to be very careful about how you're managing it. You know, if it breaks above 88, you know, this thing could continue to go up quite a bit. If we look at this on the daily chart, what did it get up to? I think it got up to quite a bit. See, when was that? In November 2025, it got all the way up to $1.21. The top of that wick here was all the way up at $1.50. So this thing could absolutely rip. You never know, guys. Here's another zone of interest that it might potentially come up to if it continues to break above here, and that would be at 97 cents. So, you know, maybe you might want to put a bid in there if it gets up there. Up to you guys. You know, all I know is that eventually this little shit coin, you know, I was looking into it. It does have a privacy feature, and you know, based on my research, it's not being it's not being used by Venezuela now. It just got included into something called Alchemy Pay, which is some sort of payment system that offers people, payment rails in South America and Africa. Now, I found out, though, that it's just one of many, many, many coins. They also offer Solana and Tron and, base chain applications. It's cheap as fuck. So there's better payment options out there than using Dash. But supposedly that's part of the reason why it's got the pump. And also the privacy narrative right now is just fucking insane. But I do believe that this thing will roll over at some point and, print a lot of money. And these are the zones that I, am looking at. So up to you. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing. And I've been making a lot of money and doing really well. And what I'll probably be looking to do is, like I said, I'm expecting some sort of contraction event. If we see Bitcoin go back into the mid-80s again, I'll nibble some for sure. Because remember, I sold my Bitcoins at, like around 114K. So when it got rejected from 116K, early October is when I fucking exited the market. So even buying it now, I'm still getting at a massive discount. But I do believe that there's some tougher times ahead. And I want to have dry powder for when that happens. I not only want to be buying Bitcoin, but I'd like to be buying some more Tesla stock. I'm looking at the projections out on Tesla and the total addressable market that has. It is just fucking massive with its EVs and its robo-taxis that coming online. And then you have the whole semi-trailers, and then you have the whole power aspect. I mean, Tesla is also a power company with its mega packs. And then you have Optimus, which is, the big daddy of them all. That's just, the disruption of human labor. And you guys, if you haven't seen the videos about Optimus, I would recommend that you go look at those videos. It's mind-blowing to see the mobility in its hands. But anyways, that's on my mind. I think I also got another short on Dolo because it recently pumped as well. So I'm shorting that one as well. I got a bunch of positions open. I got my TPs in place, and I'm just going to kick back and chill and wait for that money to flow in like a pimp. All right, man. Have a good one. Monger out.